Hey, welcome back to the stream. My name's Josh. Cultivate Your Best Self is about seeking a deeper understanding of yourself, who you aspire to become, and how and why you value time and money. In today's live stream, we're going to be talking about self-awareness and the different components that make up self-awareness. I'll also be discussing a little bit of the research that I found done by Tasha Eurich, who is an organizational psychologist, and the work that she did was really great. And I'm going to be sharing kind of like my takeaways from an article that she wrote all about her research. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through all of it today. We'll see. I don't know if an hour is long enough, but go ahead and grab a drink, grab a snack, grab your dinner, whatever it is, and come join me. I'm going to get the presentation. I have a presentation today. I'm going to get it set up so that you guys can kind of follow along as I talk about the research and then the different components that make up self-awareness. So let me see if I can get this present full screen. Yes. Ooh, nice. Let's see, how do I control it? Oh, okay, nice. And then let me change my camera setting. I'll make it smaller. Oh, no, that's the... that is the border. There we go. And then, is this the camera? No. Oh, there it is. And then I'm going to share this. Yes. Although, I actually think I do have to turn the border off so that you guys see the whole thing. Turn that off. Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, let's get started. So, first off, what is self-awareness? Self-awareness is the ability to see yourself clearly. That's it. It's pretty simple. Now, there's a little bit more to that, but like the overall brief kind of definition is the ability to see yourself clearly. Let's see, is it working? Yeah, okay. So, research suggests that when we are self-aware, we have more confidence, we're more creative, make better decisions, build stronger relationships, communicate more effectively, get more promotions, are effective leaders, and have more profitable companies for those of us who are business owners. And I'll share the article in the description so that you guys can look up all the different studies that kind of back up the claims of all these things that self-awareness kind of helps us with. Tasha Eurich did a large-scale study, scientific study of self-awareness. And I want to look at the 4 main takeaways from her article. And again, she's an organizational psychologist, researcher, and New York Times best-selling author. Let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller, because I think it might block some texts in future slides, so I'll leave it like that. Let me click back on here. So the first takeaway, most people believe they're self-aware, but the study found that only 10 to 15% are, which likely means that some of you are probably lying to yourself about whether you're self-aware or not. And I think one of the things that is kind of difficult for people to admit is just being honest with themselves. And one of the things that self-awareness helps with is, the ability for us to be honest with ourselves and some of the qualities that you see kind of listed here, values, aspirations, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and strengths and weaknesses. Now, there are 2 types of self-awareness. There's the internal self-awareness, which I'm mostly going to cover in this kind of live stream, which covers all those topics, the values, aspirations, what you see on the side there. And then there's external self-awareness, which is understanding how other people see you. And then there are 4 archetypes that are listed here. 4 archetypes of self-awareness, and you can kind of see there's a scale factor. There's over on this end, you have low self-awareness, and then this side is internal self-awareness, and then the bottom side is, you can't really see it, but it's external self-awareness. and it goes low to high and then low to high up here. So, if you're low on both internal and external self-awareness, then you're probably a seeker. A seeker, they don't yet know who they are, what they stand for, or how their teams see them. And as a result, they might feel stuck or frustrated with their performance and relationships. If that sounds like you, it's likely that you're probably low on self-awareness. If you're high on external self-awareness but low on internal self-awareness, then you're likely a pleaser. Pleasers can excuse me. Pleasers can be so focused on appearing a certain way to others that they could be overlooking what matters to them. Over time, they tend to make choices that aren't in service of their own success or fulfillment. And I've been a pleaser myself before, and I don't think, back when I considered myself a pleaser, I would have to agree that I don't think I was big on internal self-awareness just yet. I was still I'm a seeker. Well, that's okay. Luckily, self-awareness is an ability that you can work on, or a skill that you can learn. And I'll go over kind of the ways that you can learn to cultivate, becoming a better self-aware person. Internal self-awareness, if you're high but low on external, then you're likely an introspector. They're clear on who they are, but don't challenge their own views or search for blind spots by getting feedback from others. This can harm their relationships and limit their success. I think I probably see the most type of self-aware person being introspectors. They feel like what they know is all they need, and they kind of block out other people in their life. Or sorry, they block out other people. I have a new camera set up, and so it was making some sounds right now. It distracted me. But so what I was saying was, with introspectors, when they get external feedback, they kind of take it with a grain of salt or kind of disregard it altogether, and they don't really analyze what someone might be telling them as constructive criticism, something that they could likely improve upon. They just kind of forget about it and move on with their life. And then if you're both high in internal and external self-awareness, then you are aware. They know who they are, what they want to accomplish, and seek out and value others' opinions. This is where leaders begin to fully realize the true benefits of self-awareness. The third takeaway from Tasha Eurich's research is that experience and power hinder self-awareness. Experience can lead to a false sense of confidence about your performance. The more power a leader holds, the more likely they are to overestimate their skill, which kind of makes sense, right? Like, if you think you know it all, then what could you possibly gain from listening to the opinions of others? Why does this happen? Well, senior leaders have fewer people above them who can provide candid feedback. And then the more power that someone holds, the less likely someone below them is to provide constructive feedback to them. They might be scared to do it because maybe they feel like their job's on the line, or there's some internal fear that that they feel like they can't go to their superior and give them actual advice. But so what do you do in these situations? Well, if you're in a situation where you're in a leadership position, the best leaders seek out frequent feedback from everyone around them while keeping an open mind. You might get a fresh perspective from someone who's kind of just starting out in an industry where you've been working for a really long time. And the person that's kind of just starting out might have some fresh perspectives about an entirely new generation that you might be out of touch with. And they might have a better approach with something that you've learned, with how you kind of came up in your career. And you might want to keep an open mind to, the feedback that someone gives you, because it could, alter or improve upon your leadership. So that's kind of one of the things that you kind of have to do, is like continuously seek out feedback, but at the same time, um, if you're in that leadership position, you're more likely to be able to filter what's useful and what's not. And it's important to keep that open mind, because you never know what you might learn from somebody, even if they're, in a lower position than you. The fourth thing is introspection doesn't always improve self-awareness. Why? Well, as we seek answers from within ourselves, as we do that introspective process, our thoughts, feelings, or about our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, it often invites unproductive, negative thoughts about our performance based on our fears, shortcomings, or insecurities. We're incapable of being objective and rational, assessing our performance based on our strengths and weaknesses rather than our own biased opinions. Hey, welcome to the stream, you two. I'm talking about, just to catch you up really quickly, I'm talking about self-awareness, and I'm going over some of the key takeaways from a research study that I looked into by an organizational psychologist named Tasha Eurich. She did this study. I actually I know it's fairly recent. It was in a Harvard Business Review, and there are some really fascinating key takeaways from her research. And so I'm on the fourth key takeaway from her research, which is introspection, or like kind of looking within yourself, doesn't always improve self-awareness. So what do you do instead of kind of looking within yourself, and if you're incapable of being that objective, kind of rational person, if you naturally tend to invite negative thoughts in, based on your fears, shortcomings, or insecurities, what can you do to overcome that? Well, in order to get more objective, you have to ask yourself, and I've talked about this before on the stream, but you have to ask yourself more what questions. Like, what can I do to improve for next time? What did I learn from this experience? What action can I take to move forward from here? These are really important to focus on when you're trying to analyze a situation, because you want to try and avoid having those negative thoughts kind of pierce their way into your mind, because again, it's unproductive. A lot of the answers that we might come up with are kind of locked away in our subconscious, and we don't have access to that. So we tend to make up answers that may sound correct but are often incorrect. And that's one of the things that Tasha Eurich kind of points out. And you want to remain objective by asking yourself those what questions, those right what questions. So now I'm going to get into more of kind of developing internal self-awareness. And we'll start with values. And I am really big on core values. And kind of the question that I start off with here is, do you know what your top 5 core values are? And why do I say this? Well, living life according to your core values provides clarity and direction, authenticity and integrity, increased confidence, improved decision making, and more joy and fulfillment in your life. And one of the things that I noticed when I started living life more according to my core values is I made decisions that were better for both my physical and mental health, because I realized that health is one of my top core values. And the reason why that is because, if you're not at your top physical and mental health, then everybody and everything in your life around you suffers because of it. So you always want to try and, when it comes to health in particular, you always want to try and, get adequate sleep when you can, hydrate, work on your nutrition, get physical exercise in. All of these things contribute to both physical and in the mental aspect of your health. My computer's making this weird sound again. If I do a certain gesture, it'll follow me. So I want to keep it kind of where it is. So I have to be careful with my hand gestures. So how do you develop your core values? I have a 5-step roadmap that allows you to kind of explore ways that you can find what your top 5 core values are. And I'm going to be providing this as a PDF. I'll provide a link in the description for the video. And if you want access to that, just click the link, and I think it'll take you straight to the PDF. I'm not 100% sure. I should test it out before. But yeah, I'll try and provide that PDF, that link, so you can click on it and then you have what it is. But I have the kind of the general outline here. Step 1 is brainstorming what your core values are. And what you do is you simply take a piece of paper and you write down all the different qualities or words that are values that either you feel you already kind of exemplify or that you already embody. And then you want to write down qualities that you aspire to kind of be an example of. And you just write down as many words, just as many values or words that come to mind of, qualities that you admire or feel like you already kind of show in your daily life. And in the PDF, I provide like a list of examples of, some core values that, if you're having trouble kind of coming up with some. But I'd like for you to be able to come up with at least 20, if not more, but 20 is a good start. And then step 2 is you're going to filter down. There's a process for filtering down, but essentially you filter down to 10, and then from the 10 you filter down to 5. Step 3 is to define in your own words what each of those core values means to you. And then step 4 is with each one of your core values, you're going to find ways to incorporate them into your daily life. Now, this is not to say that, every single day you have to be an example of every single one of your top 5 core values. No, that's not what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to say is like you can pick one, or you can pick 2 or 3. It's up to you. But you want to try and write down what ways that you can incorporate each one of those core values. If not daily, then like weekly, and maybe at the most monthly. But you want to try and do it as frequently as you can with your attitude, your effort, and your behaviors. You want to try and find ways to incorporate your core values in each one of those controllable ways. I call those the controllables. So that's incorporate. My dog's going crazy with her bed right now. I think she has the kind of the zoomies, but and then the last step is to reflect and adjust. So you're gonna reflect maybe on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, but you want to reflect on whether living those core values are meaningful to you. And some of the ways you can do that is you can journal about things that you're experiencing and whether or not you made decisions based on the 5 core values that you chose. And then, if you're feeling like, one of them's just not working out, you can always replace it with another core value. And you want to adjust in that way. But that's my 5-step roadmap. And there's a lot more detail in my PDF for that 5-step roadmap for developing your core values. So once you get it, it'll be a lot more helpful in, getting you to understand and develop, what your 5 core values will be. Aspirations. So I have 2 different kind of little definitions here. I wanted to get more into aspirational identity, but before I get there, I want to talk about aspiration and what that is. And all it is a desire to achieve something. Aspirational identity is a desire to achieve an identity you admire. So, they're very similar, but the identity ties more into, that first step of developing your core values. And your aspirational identity should ideally embody some of those core values. So I say here, why? Because you deserve to live the life that you want. So write about an identity that appeals to you, and then write about why you want to achieve that identity and its importance in your life. And then I have a 3-step phrasing for cultivating that aspirational identity. And it starts with step 1, yet phrases. And let me pull up my notes on this really quickly. I'm going to pull it off to the side and then enlarge that presentation again. But the reason why is because I just got a crash on my Google Chrome. Okay, it's back up. The reason why I want to bring up my notes is because I get a little bit more descriptive in what these different phrasings are, what they're all about. So step 1, yet phrases. You say these yet phrases prior to taking action on an identity that you want to cultivate. For example, let's say you want to become a runner because it contributes to your core value of health. What you would say is, I'm not a good runner yet. And then another example I have here is, like, this is one that I came up with, is I wanted to be a better husband. And a phrase you could say is, I'm not a better husband yet. So that's step 1. You say these before you take action. So it kind of inherently, you have to understand that you're eventually going to take action towards becoming this aspirational identity. You want to take a bath? You want to take a bath? Sorry, that's the timeout phrase. You want to take a bath? Let's go take a bath. Oh, she just wants to play. I feel bad. Step 2 is enforcing phrases. You say these after you've taken the first step toward becoming that aspirational identity. An example might be, I am becoming a better runner with consistent training. I am becoming a better husband by being present and listening more. So these are the enforcing phrases that you're going to be telling yourself after you've taken that first step, and as you continue to take more steps toward becoming that aspirational identity. And then step 3 is verifying phrases plus acknowledging the benefits. Now you say these when you begin to notice the positive effects of having achieved your aspirational identity. And I honestly believe it doesn't take much to reach this point. It might take a little bit of time, but it might happen sooner than you expect. So, as an example, if you're running, let's say you set yourself a goal of, wanting to go run for 3 out of the 7 days of the week. If you're consistently accomplishing that, or even going twice a week, or even exceeding that 4 times a week, and let's say 1 week you do 4 times, another week you do 3 times, another week you do 2 times, but each week you're consistently doing, you're running more often than not, then you're a runner. You're doing it. And so when you start noticing the more energy that you get from running, or how you feel when you're out running, let's say it like helps clear your mind, or that feeling when you're done, you feel more accomplished, whatever that might be, This is when you start telling yourself the verifying phrases. And an example I have here is, I am a good runner. I enjoy the extra energy I get and how I feel. So that's an example. And then another one I have here is, I am a better husband. I enjoy the happiness I feel when my wife knows I'm present and listening to her. These are the ways that you can really cultivate that aspirational identity that you're looking to become. And I believe that, with these verifying phrases, they're going to help you push the boundaries of, your limiting beliefs and allow you to become who you want to become. Are you in control of your thoughts? Try to recognize whether your inner voice, and I did the wrong your there. Try to recognize whether your inner voice or self-talk is more a critic or a coach. You always want to aim toward being or lean towards the side of being a coach. You never want to be the critic. The critic invites negative thoughts into your mind, again, based on your own biased opinions about yourself. And you don't want to go that route. You want to try and be more reasonable, rational, based on your strengths and weaknesses, and work on those rather than telling yourself these negative things that kind of spiral out of control. Your feelings. I put EQ here as emotional intelligence. Are you able to regulate your emotions in healthy and productive ways? For sure you want to avoid making big decisions when you're highly emotional. And that's because emotions tend to alter our prefrontal cortex. That's the front part of our brain that's responsible for being rational or making rational decisions. Your prefrontal cortex tries really hard to get you to not do things that are stupid. But, being that we're human, we're going to make mistakes and we're going to do things incorrectly. We're going to allow our emotions to get the better of us. But if you're able to recognize that that you might be doing that more often than you'd want, then that's the first step toward recognizing that you need to exercise better control over your emotions. And there are ways, to cope and help with regulating your emotions in a healthy and productive way. Behaviors. Do your behaviors reflect your values and aspirations, or are your thoughts and feelings holding you back? Procrastination is something we all deal with, some more than others. And some of us tend to distract ourselves from a life we don't particularly enjoy, rather than working towards a life where we can be fully present, experience joy, and be completely fulfilled in. What's stopping you? That's a question for you guys. It's 6:30. Oh man, I'm gonna get through this whole thing. Do you know what your strengths and weaknesses are? Reflect and write about your strengths and weaknesses, or alternatively, you can take the Clifton Strengths assessment. A purchase is required. A friend of mine got this for me for my birthday. He bought me the book, and the book comes with a code where you can take your, the test. It's about an hour long, and essentially what it is they give you two kind of scenarios, and you weigh which scenario is more you, and you go through this for an hour, different scenarios, and then you get your top 5 strengths. And you can, for an additional purchase, you can find out what your top 10 are, your top 20, your top 40. I forget how many it goes up to, but let me see if I can. Does this work? Oh, it does. So my top 5 strengths, and I'm not sure if I were to retake this if it would change, but my top 5 strengths are learner, belief, restorative, intellection, and futuristic. And I'll talk a little bit about each one, like very briefly, but learner, you love to learn. And that's true for myself, but I don't necessarily agree with some of the things it says here. Like the subject matter that interests you most will be determined by your other themes and experiences, but whatever the subject, you'll always be drawn to the process of learning. Let me see, which is the part I didn't agree with here? The growing confidence, your excitement leads you to engage. Learner theme does not necessarily mean that you seek to become the subject matter expert or that you are striving for the respect that accompanies a profession or academic credential. So it doesn't really say it here, but essentially what when it goes into more depth, it talks about you love learning for the sake of learning, and that's not necessarily true for me. I love learning things that I can apply to my life. Things that will help me progress toward my aspirational identities, that will help progress my missions forward in life. And so, all the books that I read, all the articles that I read and save and kind of analyze, the research that I do, it all, I know with 100% certainty that it all will benefit me in my pursuit of my missions and my aspirational identities. Belief. If you possess a strong belief theme, you have certain core values that are enduring, and that's very true about myself. I've always had, kind of inherent core values that I guess I was aware of them as I was growing up, especially when it came to like relationships. But I had an experience where I broke one of those core values, and it nearly broke me. And it was a very significant time in my life. And I think maybe in the next live stream, I'll go into it. I'll be a little bit vulnerable here and talk about what I went through. But I do have strong core values and beliefs, and I do tend to stick to them when I make that commitment. Restorative. You love to solve problems. And this is kind of a great strength to have when you aspire to be an entrepreneur. And that's exactly what I'm seeking to do. And I think this is one of the perfect strengths for me and kind of my journey, the journey that I'm on. Intellection. You like to think. You like mental activity. You like exercising the muscles of your brain, stretching them in multiple directions. This need for mental activity may be focused. For example, you may be trying to solve a problem or develop an idea or understand another person's feelings. The exact focus will depend on your other strengths. But on the other hand, this mental activity may very well lack focus. And the theme of intellection does not dictate what you are thinking about. It simply describes that you like to think. That's very true. I do love to think. I do love to think about how to solve certain issues. I love to think about how I can help other people. I love to think about how I can present some of these topics in a more entertaining way, so that I reach more people, because I know like storytelling, allowing my personality to kind of come through a little bit more. I do feel like I'm a little bit like holding myself back. I'm not sure why. Maybe there's kind of like a deeper fear that I haven't really honed in on, but maybe a deeper fear of like allowing myself to really just be myself. And maybe it's a fear of like rejection. I don't know what it is, but but just trying to find ways to be more entertaining for you guys, because all of this stuff is so freaking important for living a healthier, happier, more fulfilled life. And if I can't find ways to make this stuff entertaining, then I'm not going to reach the people that I need to reach. And that's going to be, that's a really challenging problem to solve for me. And I know that if I had more money, I could outsource kind of like doing YouTube videos and outsource the editing to allow someone else who's much better than myself to edit the video in a much more entertaining way. But at the same time, like my personality kind of has to come through too, like it's not, I can't just be monotone and present something, as like in the fashion of like me being a boring professor. I have to, find ways to implement jokes and, I don't know, like do something kind of like crazy, or even maybe something controversial. I don't know. I don't know, but you know, something. So I don't know what it is. And if I could get feedback from you guys, that might be more helpful. But yeah, I mean that's a problem that I have to solve. I'm trying to figure out. But I know that if I stay consistent, with doing this, s- eventually I'll find something that works, and I'll try and replicate that more often. And that's kind of like what I'm going for here. And I'm going to be doing the same thing on TikTok as well, to try and grow a community. Get some feedback and help people. That's kind of like the ultimate goal, is to find ways to get people to understand that things like self management, self awareness, core values, all these things are so critical for giving us a sense of purpose, uh, clarifying some of the things that are important in our lives, and giving us direction so that we live more intentionally. And then the last one is futuristic. Let's see. Suzanne said, "I think we learn as we go and experience what we want to do." Yeah, I mean that's true. Um, I mean, and that's what I'm doing too. I'm learning as I go. I'm not, I'm not an expert at any particular thing, but I love learning, and I love sharing what I learn. It's just if I could maybe if I could implement jokes in some way. I don't know. I mean, I'm not necessarily a joke teller, but or a comedian. Joke teller. I'm not a comedian. uh, futuristic. Uh, wouldn't it be great if blank? You are the kind of person who loves to peer over the horizon. The future fascinates you. And I think that's me in this particular moment. I think that strength might change in the future, because the reason why I think I got this is because I'm not particularly satisfied with my current circumstances, and that being like where I live, my financial situation, and and there are some other things, like my say it's success as an entrepreneur, or being a entrepreneur. Like I haven't really even like promoted myself as an entrepreneur, and so as I move closer to that day where I finally start promoting my services, then as I attain the things, like attain my aspirational identity, attain uh, a financial status that that I deem uh, as successful for where I want to be. And I'm not talking about being a billionaire, or even like having hundreds of millions. Like that to me is just excessive. And like I'm of the belief that there shouldn't be any billionaires in the world. It's just it's so, I don't know, just the way my mind works is like it's just so selfish, or so. And it's not to say like, is it to say like they haven't earned it, or like they like why is it that that they need so much, um like such a, what's the word I'm looking for, uh what is it called when you evaluate how much someone's worth? It's their net worth. Why does someone's net worth have to be in the billions? It's just they're living a life of excess, and there are so many people in need, that could benefit from someone having so much money. And I don't know, like it's just that's just my own thoughts on the matter, about billionaires. But and sure, like they might be contributing to society in a really great way, providing some service or product that is like helping millions of people. but I still, they still could be giving away so much more, and the lifestyle that they've chosen to live is unnecessary to me. I don't know. And who knows, like, there's probably a ton of billionaires who are like very unhappy with how they're living their life, but who knows. So futuristic, yeah. I think once I get to a destination that I've been kind of working towards, then I think this will change. Let me go back here. So that was the Clifton strengths. I was talking about that a little while. And then when you understand your strengths and weaknesses, you're better equipped to make evaluations based on merit rather than based on opinions, your own biased opinions. And I think it's really important to kind of make this assessment yourself, if not through some third party, that helps you determine what they are, then on your own, so that you can evaluate whether you're succeeding or whether you need to make some kind of change in your process based on what your strengths and weaknesses are. Let's say your weakness is you procrastinate because you get distracted by social media. That might be a weakness that you need to start to analyze. Why do I do this? Is the thing that I'm procrastinating on even worth my focus, worth my time? And if it is, then why am I still, like, what fear am I experiencing, or what stress am I experiencing that prevents me from accomplishing that task? What can I do to minimize the distraction? What can I do to put myself in a situation where it's the easiest possible scenario for me to take that first step in getting closer to my goal, or getting closer to accomplishing that task? These are the things that you kind of have to start to analyze and think about when you're going through this whole self-awareness process. And then lastly, impact on others. Are you aware of how your reactions and behaviors affect those around you? Qualities like empathy, being considerate, and leadership all require an awareness of what we say and what we do, because it affects other people. And the more aware we are of our impact on others, the more we experience things like better relationships, higher job satisfaction, increased confidence, effective communication, and a lot of the other qualities that I mentioned earlier in this presentation. But I got through the whole thing. That was kind of like the introduction on self-awareness. Again, I'll provide the link to the research by Tasha Eurich. The link is to the Harvard Business Review article, but she has a bunch of links in there to back up a lot of the claims that she talks about. And then I'll also provide a PDF that covers exploring your top 5 core values. And then I'm also in the process of developing things for aspirational identity, and then, but I'm not going to provide that I'm not going to provide that. I'm just letting you guys know I'm working towards building a lot more free resources for you guys, so that it's much easier to find everything in one place. And I can't wait to share, the website that I'm building and all these free resources for you guys. And then eventually I'll be providing services to help you achieve these, because one of the things that I've found with self-help or personal growth is that a lot of the times when you read a particular book, or someone claims like they have all the answers that you need to solve all your problems and get where you want to go, oftentimes it's the case that the person who purchases the product I'll say product, not necessarily service, but if they buy the product, then they end up failing because a lot of the times you need that accountability partner, or you need that coach to kind of guide you through, and educate you on what it is that you're learning and the proper ways to implement everything. And I want to be kind of that guide for, all of you guys in the future. So once I kind of get that up and running, and I'll talk about in future live streams some of those free resources, especially when it's relevant to the topic of conversation. I'll share that with you guys in the description, and I'll always provide, once it's up and running, I'll provide the link to the website. Right now it's a work in progress, but yeah. And then one last thing I'd like to mention is that I'm going to be providing a link to a store where I've developed different sized canvases that have core values on them. And I'll provide that in the link, but you know what? I'm going to hold off on that. I want to purchase one myself just to see the quality, make sure I approve of the quality first, and then maybe in the next live stream, or a couple live streams from now, then I'll post it. But that will be a really great way to support me and the channel, allow me to grow, and help cover some of the expenses that come with doing all of this, because right now this is pretty much all I'm doing until I'm able to find work. But we'll see where it goes from here. But I'm planning to do a few more videos and upload videos in addition to the live streams. And then I'm going to be promoting myself on TikTok as well, so that I get more traffic kind of coming over from TikTok for people who are more interested in the long form content. And I really love doing these live streams because as the community grows, we can have more thoughtful discussions about some of these things. I can get feedback from the viewers, and you can't really do that when you create a video and you kind of just spew out the information. It's edited so that there's no breaks, and here I can actually pause and get you to think about what it is I'm talking about. And it'll happen more often the more we get views and people kind of jumping into the chat. But up until that time, I'm going to continue doing presentations like this. I think this is a little bit better than just either me talking or having just a wall of text. I think I like these presentations a little bit more, especially with some of these graphics. I really liked this one right here, how introspection doesn't always improve self-awareness, and that it invites unproductive negative thoughts, and then about our performance based on our fears, shortcomings, insecurity. Stuff like this is a little bit more entertaining, I think, than than just seeing a wall of text. But yeah, I think that's it for this one. Next time, I don't really have a topic to announce, at this time, but Thursday will, it's always something related to the if you go to my main YouTube page, you'll see at the top what I cover in it, and it involves self-management, knowledge management, and money management. And everything I talk about here in the live stream will be related to one of those three major topics, and there's so much to cover in each one of those. And so right now I think I'm focused a little bit more on the self-management side, and it'll be probably something related to that. So can't wait to see you guys in the next live stream. It'll be Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So yeah, until then, keep learning and keep growing.